This video is sponsored by Bityard. With over 400 cryptocurrencies to choose from on their spot exchange, dozens of USDT pairs for futures trading, perpetual coin futures, trade commodities like gold, silver and oil, Forex, and major indices like Nasdaq. You can buy crypto from Bityard with over 50 different fiat currencies using Visa, MasterCard, Google or Apple Pay. If you like, you can use their copy trade facility, follow other traders who will execute trades on your behalf, or become a copy trader yourself. So if you want a bit of that, click the link in the description. We're going to have a look at EOS. I know what it sounds like. We're going to do it. I mean, I'm going to put myself on a bit of a... stick my neck out a little bit and say that I actually quite like the way it looks. For what it's worth, this is EOS on the daily, okay? So a lot of these, I suppose you can call it a top cap, large cap altcoins, right? Especially the underperformers, the most unpopular ones seem to have some decent strength brewing, and so you know, I like some of these unpopular ones, for better or for worse. One of them is EOS, ICP is another one, and XRP. That's right. So you know me, I like to play about. You know, I mean, I'm in the shit coins, I'm in the top caps, I'm mainly in Bitcoin, I'm all over the place. All right, but EOS is, EOS has something going for it. So on this current run, although we've not got any particular sort of major buy signals on it, you know, given to us by an Ichimoku cloud, for instance, we do have relative strength brewing on this daily. So far, it's actually done these quite dramatic leaps up. And the way that EOS likes to behave, which I imagine is how it's going to behave this time round, is going to be similar to it behaved when it came out of its major consolidation previously. So this consolidation went on for quite a long period of time, the entire bear market and then some, basically, coming into 2021. So actually similar to XRP, which makes sense in a lot of ways, because these are some of the biggest performers of 2017 into 18. They went absolutely bonkers, and so with those sort of moves comes large consolidation. So we managed to sort of deal with this one appropriately and get some decent money out of it, and then it came all the way back down, only filling one of my sell orders, which was about between 12 and 13, give or take. I can't remember exactly what. So in normal, you know, style, my style was always to take your investment out plus some profit and then continuing up. Now I had targets for this one to go a lot higher, and it probably would have done that if it wasn't for the overall market bringing it down, and it collapsed into its own shadow, completely absolute destruction, devastation. This probably would have made it into the $20 region if it wasn't for the market just giving up, right? And this one gave up in full glory, like absolute horrendous. Even break it down to below its major support of its previous accumulation zone, which has always been this level here. There's been dips down below it, obviously there's always going to be dips down below, but it was a big deal for it to break down below $2. We'll call it $2.40, but give or take that kind of level. So once reclaiming that zone, it's actually gone okay. It's not been too bad. There's also this small, well, I say small, it's quite large, but this consolidation that took place in the latter part of the pullback here, the consolidation of the overall market. Let's face it, it's the overall market that did it. So since then, like I say, it's been holding up okay. It broke out of there and has gone on to reclaim its previous area of, you know, we'll call it the bottom line of support, really, $2.40, and the 10 exponential has been keeping it afloat. Found a little bit of a top on this big spike up here on the 200 exponential, no big deal, but since then consolidated, and it seems to be being propped up quite well on this 10 exponential, suggesting that it actually still wants more. It wants more, and I know how it sounds. This is EOS. Now it's getting a little overheated on the daily, not massively, similar to the read of Bitcoin, so not particularly toppy. But you know, it's going to be asking for trouble the higher it goes. But if this breaks through and holds above the well, it's about $3 really, give or take, which is just an intermediate tier, we'll be looking for it to reclaim $3.70, give or take, which is basically the top zone of this previous accumulation. It's quite a large accumulation. So if it were to break through here and this 200 exponential, the next top is going to be about $3.60, which is a decent move as we speak. It's kind of running a little bit, so we're talking about another 23% from this very moment in time. So that might sound a bit unrealistic. I know EOS is not very popular, and I can understand why. I completely get it. I absolutely, completely understand. But for me, it's always worth following it. And sometimes I like to do a bit of futures trading, and there's not many coins that I do it with. But EOS is one of them. And not that I'm going to be looking to, well, I mean, I'll put it out there now. I'm actually already in a futures trade with it from this morning, early in the morning, which is a little tiny slither in profit. It's not much, but it's a little bit. And I would be looking for a move up to here. And obviously, I'm not looking to wait for that particular zone. I'll be looking to close it around $3.20. To be honest with you, just a nice little pumpy up there. But over time, if this were to move in the same degree that it did previously, which is to flip previous resistance to supports and then back down again to retest it, we're looking for big moves up and big moves down. So I am actually looking for this to happen. I know how it sounds, but I am actually looking for this to do this, and then basically potentially do this, or for it to do this, and maybe if we're lucky hold around $3. Now once this area has been reclaimed, it'll, well, like I say, we're talking a little bit further down the line, but we'll be looking for one of these supports to hold, and then we'll be looking to test the next level of resistance, about $5.10, and then back down to its previous support, which would be about $3.60, $3.40, $3.60, and then break above there and move up to the next level, which is about $7.20, and then back down. And this is how it behaves, right? This is how it behaves. Now, last time there was some really good signals on this. This time there's not, which is a bit of a pain in the ass, really. But also, thinking about it in a step-by-step basis is probably the more realistic way to do it, because last time what we were looking at, despite coming out of that giant consolidation here, on our first major big move up to that $5.10 kind of area, where we found resistance, we came all the way back down to effectively this level of support, which is about the $3.60. So again, incrementally taken from this support, that resistance, breaking that resistance, flipping it to support, give or take, we got a conversion baseline cross on the weekly. So this was a continuation of a trend signal formed on the weekly, and lo and behold, we got that. This kind of gave the false sense of security, although it did yield a really good move. And in all fairness, when I saw this and it broke down like this and people were saying, oh, EOS is dead, I said, well, actually this is really good. This is one of the best signals you can get, and I actually bought more at that level. And effectively, I mean, this isn't the best performing coin you'll ever find in your life. So from there, that was a 300% move, and obviously I bought back down here in the accumulation. So it did okay, but I'm still holding, obviously, from these low levels, and obviously from here I bought here and I bought here, and I sold around here. So obviously it's all technically profit, but you want your profit to remain profitable, don't you? You don't want to see it come down to the tune of, well, it was a sizable move all the way back down, wasn't it? One of the biggest for these what would be considered top cap coins, really. So this time round, if we look at it on the weekly, no setup or signal like that, and we're not going to get anything like that this time round. It just won't happen. But it doesn't mean that we can't play this in an incremental step-by-step game. And like I say, I think it would probably be better to do it this time that way round, because we're not going to be holding on, for a prolonged period of time on a signal that was given to us. Although it was a good one, it was taken away from us in the blink of an eye by the overall market. So again, we're talking weekly here, massively lagging indicator. If the bull market continued, this would have really continued as well. It was in full steam ahead mode, was EOS, and it just goes to show that it can do it if it wants to. Although it's better to do it with decent setups and signals. But at the moment, it's better than a lot of other altcoins on its weekly chart in its relationship to moving averages. So it broke up above the 200x, the center of this Bollinger Band, the 20 weekly. Some have done that, some haven't, and that comes in at around $2.70, which is why I thought it was appropriate to sort of think about taking a long position, because the stop loss really only needs to be a little tiny smidgen down below there to about $2.54 with that 10 exponentially. So really, if we start breaking down below here, we are looking at a full-on breakdown. Momentum is gathering though on this weekly chart. Like many altcoins, this is why I'm in favour of the market continuing and taking on some extra risk with some of these altcoins, because the momentum seems to be shifting to the up. We've also got breakout on the total market cap excluding Bitcoin, so things do look quite good for altcoins. Although we're not particularly looking at the idea of an alt season, we're looking at the overall market continuing while Bitcoin basically leads the pack, and altcoins benefiting from what would appear to be a bit more of a safer period in crypto. And again, that term should be used lightly, because crypto is, I wouldn't say it's safe at all. It's very much a dangerous sport, to be honest with you. But it does. EOS does look okay, and I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt. And I am looking for this to step by step, incrementally reclaim these zones. First is this intermediate tier, is about $3. It's not really much. I am looking for the major zone of $3.60 to be tagged next, which is this area here. And if we look back in time, like I say, this was the period of accumulation. It spent a couple of months in this area really after coming out of the major consolidation. So although these setups are different, the way that EOS likes to behave, whether we're going all the way up or all the way down, is respect incrementally these steps, these supports, resistances, and flip those resistances to supports. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for another big move up to about $3.60, give or take, and then quite a fine retracement, either maybe even down to $3, that would be great, or possibly a really big dump down to about $2.40, and after then that would be another opportunity for I'd say a long position. Again, I am using derivatives a lot more than I would do normally, so I'm talking about these things in the form of setups down the line. It's not that it's not my intention to promote them, trust me, because if you haven't done them before, if you're still learning TA, you might as well just stay away from them, or just practice with like a couple of dollar trades or something at a time. It really is about practicing and understanding I suppose the skill or the art or just the habit of using a chart to your benefit. Really, there's massive risk involved, so I really don't want to be one of those that promotes using futures, although I do use it, and this would be why, because when you find a chart that does historically like to have zones, very clear zones that go back especially a long period of time, it's rude not to take advantage of things like that. If you have the time and the patience and the setup that's provided to you with, I suppose, the green light given to us by Bitcoin, which again, Bitcoin is very much in the same situation as EOS, perhaps maybe a week ahead. So it doesn't look particularly scary, although there is a small amount of downside at this particular level that's potentially down to 44,000. You've got to be aware of that, and nothing really is going to be able to move in the face of Bitcoin going down. But Bitcoin doesn't look like it wants to have a much larger retrace or a much larger dump down at this particular level. A little higher, I could completely agree that we could move all the way up to potentially 52,000, then dump down into that 44,000, maybe even wicks lower than that, back down to this 20 weekly. That's very plausible situation, but for it to have a large pullback at this particular moment right now, much more than about 5%, I feel as though that's kind of unlikely at this stage. I think the momentum is still to the up. Although invalidations for all these setups and to flip kind of short or risk off basically would certainly be something to consider below 44,000. But at the moment things are okay, so I'm like I say, I'm happy to try and play this market for what it's worth. I'm much more of a long type guy than I am a short kind of guy. So yeah, all these setups do favour my style, and I do like the way that the momentum does appear to be shifting to the up. Which would benefit us spot traders, of course, but derivatives is direction neutral, but it's always my preference to long. I prefer the green than the red. Right, I'm going to leave it with you there. I know how it sounds. I'm prepared for the hate. It is EOS. I understand. I'm not calling for a moon. I'm calling for incremental steps up, but big ones from these particular zones. There's rhythm on this chart, and those are the charts that we like the most. Ones with rhythm, ones with a method behind the madness, right? And this is mad, let's face it. It's a mad chart. It's crazy. I can understand why people would not want to touch it, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it can't be traded. It certainly can be, and it's going to be by me. Right, I'm going to leave it with you there. Well, thank you for watching. Hope you have a nice day, and take it easy.
Pas en pite.